I'm fine, Lilly. I'm fine. I screw up my brow in an effort to lever myself up, Hanako's arms quickly moving to catch me as I stumble a bit before regaining my balance. I look to Lilly and Hanako, worry written on both their faces. I feel awful. Utterly awful. I think we should go back. Realizing the futility of protesting, I look away in frustration. Fine. I open my eyes groggily, completely bereft of energy. For a while, I simply lie down lifelessly, staring at the ceiling as I review the events of the morning in an attempt to organize my thoughts. We went to walk to town. My heart nearly gave way. We came back. I took my pills. I slept. I can only remember each piece of time as a snapshot, but the timeline is clear enough. The memory of the girls' faces as I struggle to stand is an unpleasant one, stinging my feelings harshly. If I look at the ceiling hard enough, I can imagine the tile edges and small dimples of the ceiling in the hospital. That fact alone is enough to make me sit up and try to pull myself together. I scratch the back of my disheveled hair, glancing around the room. Lilly and Hanako are nowhere to be seen, and the television's turned off. The clock above it says it's pretty late in the afternoon. The noticeably reddened sky outside the windows confirms it further. I turn and pick myself off the futon, swaying slightly as I put my arms out for balance. I suppose I'd better go look for the girls to see if they're all right. As I look out the window, I faintly see something in the distance. Straining my eyes, I can just make out the shape of a person's figure. Her long blonde hair, swaying in the faint breeze, makes her almost seem to melt into the bright yellow of the wheat field. Without a second thought, I leave the room to follow that lone apparition. The brightness of the setting sun assaults my freshly woken eyes, forcing me to avert them until they adjust. The long yellow strands of wheat brush against my legs as I wade through them, the densely grown field making it hard to advance. Regardless, my eyes stay fixed ahead, true to that solitary figure. Within minutes, I reach her, meters behind her turned back. Lilly? She simply nods. Where's Hanako? I ask. She's in bed. She went to sleep after I calmed her down. She says it matter-of-factly and with as few words as possible, as if saying any more was strictly forbidden. There's something different about her. Her normally confident figure seems oddly fragile, her body offering no resistance to the breeze blowing her skirt. The strands of wheat sway from side to side while a deafening pause passes, the only sound being their rustling. As we stand in the field alone, I know what I have to ask. What's wrong, Lilly? You're not acting like you usually do. Remember when I talked of my family, Hisao? Your family? I look downwards in thought, sifting through my scattered memories. The event seems to leap ready to hand when I search for it, rising to the surface as soon as it was recalled. After Hanako's birthday party, I ask. She gives a single, simple nod. It was nice back then. You and I celebrating with Hanako, simply sharing presents, talking, having fun together. It was almost as if we were a family, one small, misshapen family. I thought that could just go on forever, just the three of us happily together. She takes a long breath, a slight shakiness to it just barely audible through the moving air. Even if my family was so far away, as long as we were together, that was all I needed. I don't want to lose you, Hisao. I didn't even realize how afraid I was of losing someone else until today. Until... I'm sorry, Lilly. I know my body's weak, but even then I make the most stupid of mistakes. Don't apologize. Please don't apologize, she says. Lilly? She turns to face me, her pale cheeks stained with tears. One misguided step after another, she stumbles toward me, her arms held out in search of so much as a faint brush against me. My heart doesn't race nor pound as I step toward Lilly, gently taking and steadying her in my arms as she quickly clutches to me, sobbing. With her face trembling against my shoulder, the next words from her mouth are the last I expected. I love you, Hisao. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Don't go away. I beg of you. Never, ever go away. I love you, so please. So, that's why she's been acting like this. That tender voice when I called her, her thoughtless concern at the slightest pain I might feel. After having been left in Japan without her family and with only Akira, Hanako, and me around, she was afraid of losing yet another person who was close to her. She was genuinely worried for me. It's a strange feeling. A mix of surprise and sorrow, yet also the deepest gratitude I think I've ever felt. The only reaction I can muster among my conflicting emotions is a calm sigh. You idiot, I say. Hisao? She replies. For a fleeting moment, I feel her body become still. The only movement to be felt is the calm afternoon breeze. I said it before, didn't I? It's only natural to feel concerned about those around you. I'm still here, and I'll always be here, because I want to see you more each day, to share in your happiness, to support you in your sadness. But most of all, I'll still be here because I want to see your smile, your true smile. A single gust of wind rustles the long strands of weed. A second silence passes. Smile when you want to smile, I tell her. Cry when you want to cry. I love you, Lilly, so you don't have to hold back anymore. With that, her arms clutch my back as tightly as she can, her face buried beside mine. Her tears fall down my back, and she cries unrestrainedly as the last of her resistance melts away. Hisao, Hisao, Hisao. I close my eyes and bring my head down to her shoulder, holding her shaking frame tightly. It's okay, Lilly. I'll never go away. I promise. We slowly walk back to the house, holding each other tightly as we take a seat inside. Lily leans her head onto my shoulder as I put my arm around her waist. Neither of us has any want to break the silence. With her eyes shut, it's hard to work out whether she's fallen asleep. Not that I mind. The warmth of her body leaning against me, the softness of her hand delicately held in mine. For a long, long time we sit leaning against one another, sharing our warmth and feelings as night eventually begins to settle in. Lily's gentle, soft voice ends the silence. "Thank you, Hasao." "Thank you," I ask. "For returning my feelings." "Did you think I wouldn't?" "There was the possibility," she says. I take a deep breath and thought, that much was only my fault. It's funny, actually. I was thinking of telling you about my own feelings sometime soon. I guess, in that way, you saved me the effort. She raises her head a little and gives a tiny amused giggle. I smile at how earnest it is, so girlish in its lightness. She collects herself soon afterward, her hair resting against my shoulder. "Feeling a little better?" I ask. She gives a small nod. "You are thoughtful, Hasao. That's why I like you." "I'm sorry I'm like this," I tell her. "As much as I didn't want to make you concerned for me, I couldn't do anything to prevent it." "Don't apologize for it. Please don't." "Lily? Have I ever apologized for my blindness, even once? You can't help the way you were born, Hasao. There's no point in apologizing for who you are." She says this with surprising conviction. In the end, it was perhaps this mentality which spurred her to befriend me in such a short time, in addition to her motherly instincts. She did seem to become trusting very quickly, but I never questioned why. Now it seems obvious that she did so to help me as I went through one of the lowest points of my life. I moved to respond, but cut myself off as I feel her fingers run gently through my hair. I feel their soft and delicate touch moving downwards to trace the contours of my face, her palm finally settling on my cheek. "You are a beautiful person, Hasao. Please, don't ever apologize for that." For a moment, I'm utterly speechless. I slowly bend my head down, placing a tender kiss on her light, voluminous hair. "We're a couple of right old fools, aren't we?" "We are," she replies. After a long calm, she speaks again. "Hisao?" "Yes?" I wouldn't mind if you..." I feel her hand tensing under mine, trembling slightly. My mouth opens, but try as I might, I can't formulate a response to her proposition. "Lily?" Before I can say another word, she slips her hand from under mine and tenderly holds the side of my face once more. "Please?" I give a peaceful smile, holding her hand against my cheek as I nod a single time. "Okay." As I look into her eyes, she leans toward me. Her delicate lips touch mine as she guides herself with her hand. She breaks off not a second later, faintly smiling. "I love you, Hasao." We kiss again, this time with both of us meeting the other. While the previous kiss was one of love, this is one of lust. Our tongues meeting and our breathing heavy. After precious seconds we part, both our faces well and truly flushed. Both of us bring our fingers to our lips in unison, recalling that fleeting feeling, rapidly becoming buried both by our urges and bashfulness. Lilly is the first to shift uncomfortably, though. What is it, I ask. Should we get more comfortable, she asks. Ah. Okay. So Lily confesses to Hassal first in the romantic setting with the sun going down and the sky probably at that golden hour, all golden yellow and everything, with the sun's rays coming through, and in the middle of a wheat field. How romantic. But then again, this is the most romantic, traditionally romantic of the various paths that you go down. A couple of things being that, she confessed to him before he confessed to her. We were kind of in a race to see which one was going to do it. This is also kind of the first one and the only one that I can think of, perhaps, that, I don't know, the Rin path. I'm sure he didn't confess to Shizune, but the Rin path, I don't remember him confessing to her. First, I mean. But this is the first path where he even talks about, confessing to the female partner. In this case, he was, planning on doing it sometime during this trip himself. Whether that happened or not was still to be seen, because along with being the master of the oblivious, he is also the master of being passive. He will do so little for himself. He goes along and reacts to things happening around him rather than actually taking the initiative in 99% of the times. The other thing that often comes up is that, she confesses, tells him that he loves her and how she's just been so terrified that she never wants him to leave him, to stay with her always. And his response is, "You idiot." That has been grabbed on. That little two-word remark there has been grabbed on by many of the fan fiction writers. Most of them looking for opportunities for him to say something to Lily. One in particular, he proposes to her, and in the follow-up, it's a year or two or three down the road, and two of them are living together, going to college, and he proposes to her, and she's able to throw the word back at him, "You idiot." So that's a interesting choice of words there for a confession. And the other thing I have to say is an interesting choice, being that Lily, being blind, is out in the middle of apparently a wheat field. I'm not entirely sure how she was planning on finding her way back to the house. So, one of those situations, I don't know if maybe there's some mitigating factors. Maybe she knows to walk back to the sound of the windmill you see in the background and head off at a 90-degree angle to it. Maybe it's a straight shot downhill from it. I don't know, but it does seem kind of strange to wander off into the middle of a wheat field where you're going to have the sound of the wheat rustling around you to even mask even more oral clues that you might hear. So, but then we come to the other nice part of the episode here, where she tells him, "Don't ever apologize for what you were born as," where he keeps apologizing for his poor heart and that, and she says, "I've never apologized for being blind. Don't apologize for who you are," which is a very, very good bit of advice to take and follow, that she says. Except, of course, if you were born an asshole. In that case, just don't be an asshole. I'm doing something slightly different with this episode. I tried to time it so that things would work out so that the actual sex scene could be kind of edited out and put into its own episode. So that's the way we're going to do here. As they start to get comfortable on the futon, I've done it so that you get the full story. If you're just interested in the story and not really interested in the more graphic sexual part, the H scene, you'll be able to skip past that. And that's what the companion part of it to it is pretty much just the sex scene itself. And then after that, we'll get back to the story again. So we will see you then.